So here we've got Donut Economics for University Courses. It is a web page on the site of Donut Economics Action Lab. Where did it come from? I wrote Donut Economics, 7 Ways to Think Like a 21st Century Economist, because I was a student of economics myself in this same city where I come back to many years later, in the city of Oxford, in 1990. And I was deeply frustrated by what I was taught. And the book Donut Economics is really my coming back to this very discipline that I was deeply frustrated by. But I should also say, even though it's called Donut Economics, the ideas that are contained within it are really about paradigm change. And so they go beyond economics courses. We can integrate it into economics courses, but many people are integrating it into geography, political science, development studies, architecture, urban design, health. So it's not only for economics courses. 2 years ago, one of the founding fathers of ecological economics, called Herman Daly, he passed away. And I was really struck when he died of how, that sense when your elders, the people who profoundly inspire you, they're leaving. And you feel this feeling of, I have to step up. I can no longer say, oh, the elders are there, the elders are there. No, we are the rising generation. I'm in my mid-50s now. That feeling of, oh, got to step up. What more can I do? And I was teaching a lecture in Donut Economics in Oxford University to some master's students. And at the end of it, some of them just came rushing up to me and said, why isn't this the economic mindset that's taught to all undergraduate students in this university already? Why isn't this just normal? And something snapped in me. Herman Daly's just passed away. The students are demanding it. And something just said, right, we're going to do it. So I put on a guerrilla course in economics, a free night course, because the university wasn't teaching it. So I just did it for free at night, working with the students, working with Rethinking Economics here in Oxford. And we put it on in the Saïd Business School, in the biggest lecture theatre the university had, because lots of students wanted to do it. So there was a lovely momentum. And I did it just in person, not recording anything, just over 8 sessions. Each session was one of the 7 ways to think. But of course, I only did this in the city of Oxford for those students because I knew that it was giving me a practice ground, a piloting opportunity to create something then to share with everybody. And so the results of that are now these materials shared online for everyone. So when you see this homepage on our course, you can see the photograph that we took outside the Saïd Business School with those students. That was the first time we ran it through. So the result that I was always moving towards was, what if we created materials that could be available for anybody who wants to pick them up and integrate them into their own courses and start bringing these ideas in the best way that they can see fits the opportunity they have to integrate it, whether it's an entire new course or whether it's just bringing in 3 slides and adding them to an existing course, but bringing a new angle. So the aim of this webpage is to provide materials for educators primarily, but students are obviously welcome to look at them because they are open access. Anybody can see them. We've put them in the commons, and that's a really important point to say, that the concepts of donut economics we've already put in the commons, and the materials draw on other people's materials that are already shared publicly. So they're fully linked, fully referenced if we've used anybody else's sources. So as you can see on this website, on this web page, first of all, we invite you to join the academic community of practice, and Ross and Gemma will talk more about that today. If students come here, we invite them to join the student campaign. Both of these are being hosted and led by Rethinking Economics. And then beneath that, lots of drop downs. So we've got welcome and background, share your feedback. We'd love your feedback on these materials. And then the 7 ways, and they're all here. Each one is a little drop down tab. So if I just take us into the second one, see the big picture, the same format for each one of them. There's a short overview of just saying what this content is about so that you can navigate the kind of content you're looking for. A short little summary of some of the topics addressed, like framing a new worldview, the embedded economy diagram, core concepts of ecological economics, the household commons, the market and the state, comparing worldviews. And then here, this is really crucial, getting started, there's a slide deck in PowerPoint or in Google Slides. And I'm going to flip just to those. So if you click on Google Slides here, you will come to this slide deck. Here it is. There's a lot of slides here. So the first thing I should say about these slides, to be super clear, this is not a lecture. It would be weird for anybody to write a set of lecture slides for anybody else. So this is not a lecture. There are way too many slides here. There are 78 slides here. That's not a lecture. what this is, and we invite you to think of it as a set of ingredients, like a set of recipe, ingredients that you can turn into your own recipe. So each of the yellow slides here divides up small subsections, and they're summarized in the contents. So each of these headings is one of the yellow slides. And behind it is a small chunk of materials that you could then draw on for your teaching. So if I go back here, you can see from the overview, for example, the first one talks about the power of visual models. And there's just a few slides with footnotes underneath every slide telling you what the message is around that slide, around the power of visualization. Then there's about 10 slides around critiquing the standard circular flow diagram. And I did it by adding in all sorts of things that are missing. They added in, so sequentially added in, and there's a question at the end, what's the consequences? That's a chunk of material. You might say, oh, that's really useful way of critiquing this diagram that I have to teach. I'm just going to add that in. You can take those slides, put them into your talk, and then carry on with what you were doing. Here it goes on to talking about the conceptual foundations of neoliberalism in quite a playful way, and there's an animation embedded in one of the slides. Coming then to the embedded economy diagram, lots of ways of introducing it. We move on then to core concepts in ecological economics. There's Herman Daly, who I was talking about, going into his concepts, presenting them in different ways. And then, for example, within here on slide 50, this is just saying Dan O'Neill, who is one of the most respected academics in the field of ecological economics, a real successor to Herman Daly. He's made some fantastic videos. So here, this slide is just, it's giving you a little door opening into a whole other set of resources. Go check out Dan O'Neill's little videos on ecological economics because they're wonderful. So there are resources within resources. Come back out of here. We then go into the embedded economy diagram, the market, the state, the household, and the commons. There's one slide on each of those, just really at a broad framing level. And then the last set here is activities for deeper exploration. So these slides that follow are just lots of different potential activities that you could dive into and comparing worldviews. So that's the slide decks. And for each one of the 7 ways to think, there is a slide deck of equivalent depth and variety. Again, they're ingredients that you could take a small chunk of these. You can adapt them. You can integrate them into your teaching. They're absolutely designed to be taken as a little Lego block, as a piece, to be integrated into what you are already doing. So let me come back here. That's the slides. And as I said, there's a set for each one of these ways to think. And then there's readings and resources underneath. So for each of the ways, I've listed the chapter in the book Doughnut Economics because it refers to all that material. So here it's chapter 2, want to see the big picture. But then there's this deeper dive section. And here I've just brought together lots of fantastic material, either that I was referring to already in the book or that has been published since or that I've been made aware of since, and chunk them into small little sections again. So on the origins of the circular flow diagram, if you want to know about the history of that diagram and its influence. And for each of these references, you can see I've cited the academic reference, but then written one sentence just trying to describe what this piece of work does, so that, again, it saves you having to open something up and what is this? Just trying to summarize the value, the insight, the focus of that piece of work. So something on the neoliberal narrative, embedded economy diagram, the foundations of ecological economics. And some of these are academic articles, some of these are more popular articles, some of these are websites, some of these are tools, some are videos, some are podcasts. So it's really multimedia. And again, these are offered as a set of ingredients. If you are writing your own reading lists and preparation lists for your students, we hope that there's just masses of material here for you to choose from to find the right kind of material that will fit the course that you're teaching. So there's just a lot of material here. Again, this is obviously far more than any one reading list could be, but it sets you up. And that's the content that we provide across all 7 ways to think. So we hope that you will, for each one of them that's relevant to whatever you're teaching, go in, open that deck of slides, look and see if there's anything useful, look at those readings, find videos and readings that are useful. We'd also love it if you share back, right? In this session, share your feedback. Let us know if there are obvious materials or videos or fantastic things that absolutely should be there, or something that you think is wrong or profoundly missing in the slides. We'd love that feedback from you, because this is just the first iteration of it. We call it in the Donut Economics Action Lab, we always talk about things being genset, GENSET. It's good enough for now. It's safe enough to try. So is it genset? And I would say these materials are genset. They're not perfect, they're not complete, they're not finished, they're not comprehensive, but they're good enough for now. They're safe enough to try. Let's launch version 1, and let's just build on the feedback that we receive in order to improve them iteratively over time. So we're so thrilled that you've joined us now, and really hope that you will look at these materials, draw on them, or maybe you already have done, but will help us improve them by pointing out what could be done, what could be added, just to keep lifting them up so they become more and more useful to more and more teachers and lecturers.